Shalom, today's Daf Yomi is Rosh Hashanah Daf Pei is Rosh Hashanah 2. So we begin today the new track they called Rosh Hashanah. So the Pnei Yeshua writes that even though the first Mishnah talks about 4 Rosh Hashanahs, nevertheless our Mishnah is the track that is given the name Rosh Hashanah instead of Rosh Hashanah because it takes its name from the holiness of Yom Hadin, of the Day of Judgment, which is the Kedusha of Rosh Hashanah that we celebrate on the 1st of Tishrei. But even though the Mishnah itself is going to start with Be'echa B'Nisan, with the first day of the month of Nisan, which is the Mishnah will say, which is the Rosh Hashanah for kings, that's because, and not with the 1st of Tishrei, which is because the main Rosh Hashanah in the Torah is at the first day of Nisan, which is the Rosh Chodeshim, which is the first of all Rosh Chodesh, which is in Exodus chapter 12. It says, Chodesh Hazel Lachem Rosh Chodeshim. So that's the main one in the Torah. But for us today, the main one is Rosh Hashanah, which is the 1st of Tishrei, which is the Day of Judgment. So we begin with the first Mishnah in this holy tractate, and the Mishnah is going to discuss the 4 types of Rosh Hashanahs there are throughout the year. Says the Mishnah, Arba Rosh Hashanah, there are 4 Rosh Hashanahs, that 4 times during the year, that each one of them is considered to be its own Rosh Hashanah with respect to different matters. The first one is Be'echa B'Nisan. The first day of the month of Nisan is Rosh Hashanah L'Melachim. This is the Rosh Hashanah for kings, that they used to write on the contracts, so they would write the date of the writing, they would do it according to the number of the years of that ruler from the time that it began his kingdom, and not like we do our contracts from the creation of the world. And the sages established that the first year of the king, and the first year was when the first day of the month of Nisan. So that became the king. Rashi writes, Regilam Hayulam notes Manshtor Sehem. They had the practice to write the time of their contracts. L'shnot HaMelech Mishana Shamad Ba'amelech, from the year that the king established, like we say in Maseches Gittin on Daf Pei, Mishum Shlom Malchus. That we do this in order to have good relations with the kings. And the sages established that the first day of Nisan was the beginning of that year. And so therefore, even if he started his kingdom in Shvat or Adar, which is just 1 month before Nisan, nevertheless, that first of Nisan will be year 2. And so that's what Rashi says. So that's the first day of the month of Nisan, is the Rosh Hashanah for kings, and also l'regoim, for festivals, and meaning to say that Pesach is considered to be the first of the 3 regoim, and we know that this has several ramifications. We know, for example, it has a ramification with respect to if somebody makes a vow, and also Rosh Chodeshim. So that the Gemara is going to discuss all of the ways in which the regoim is relevant for Rosh Hashanah. And the second Rosh Hashanah is Be'echad Be'el Rosh Hashanah L'Maiser Behema. That the first day of the month of Elul is the Rosh Hashanah for tithing animals. That it's a mitzvah to tithe every sacrifice, every 10th animal from all the animals that were born every year. And we don't separate from the animals that were born one year for the animals that were born in the next year. And on Echa B'El, the first day of El, that's the beginning of this month. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, Omrim Be'echa B'Tishrei. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon say that this is the first day of the month of Tishrei. That's when we tithe these animals. Now we come to the third Rosh Hashanah. It's Be'echa B'Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah L'Shanam. The first day of the month of Tishrei, that's the Rosh Hashanah for how we count years, Ula Shmitin, and that from the first day of Tishrei is the beginning of the 7th year, and so then it's prohibited to plow and plant from the Torah. V'layovos, and for the Jubilee year, from the first day of the month of Tishrei, that's going to be the where we start counting the 50th year. All the laws of the Jubilee year apply, and it's prohibited to plow and to plant as well in that year. And so too, it's Rosh Hashanah L'Netiyah for counting the 3 years of the Arla, that you're not allowed to use the fruit for the first 3 years that a tree is planted. That even if you planted a tree in the month of Av, we count Echa B'Tishrei, the first day of Tishrei, right after Av, because it's just 2 months after as year number 2. And so that's even for planting, and also liyarakos, for vegetables, meaning to say to tithe vegetables. That the law is that we don't tithe from the vegetable that is gathered in 1 year on the vegetable that was gathered into another year. And so you can't tithe from 1 year on the previous year. And also we say that the first day of Tishrei is going to be the first day for all of these matters. And also we say with respect to Be'echa B'Shvat, the first day of Shvat is going to be. Is the first day of the month of Shvat is going to be Rosh Hashanah, or Elon is going to be the Rosh Hashanah for trees with respect to tithing the fruits of the tree. That the law is that we don't tithe the fruits of the tree that budded in one year on corresponding to the fruits of a tree that budded in another year. And the first day of Shvat is the beginning of this year with respect to this tithing. That's Kedivrei Beis Shammai. That's the position of Beis Shammai. Whereas Beis Hillel is going to be of the position that when is the first day that we do this? This is Chamisha Asar. But Beis Hillel is going to be the position that what we call the 15th of Shvat is when it's the year for budding, and that's what we call the holiday of Tu B'Shvat. So the Mishnah had started by saying that the first day of Nisan is Rosh Hashanah for kings, and this is based, like we said at the beginning, is based upon the fact that it says in Exodus 12, chapter 12, verse 2, Achodesh Hazel Lechem Rosh Chodeshim. This month shall be for you the head of all months. So the Degel Machane Ephraim explains that the first of Nisan is Rosh Hashanah for kings, because we know that the concept of the kingdom comes to the Jewish people alone, that the Jewish people are called B'nai Melachim, and so Achodesh Hazel Lechem, this is considered for you, meaning to say Lachem is the same words as Melach, as king. It's the same letters. HaChodesh Hazeh, this idea that it's Rosh Hashanah for kings, is for you, that the Jewish people are supposed to hold ourselves as B'nai Melachim, as princes.